Hi everybody, just a few quick words on the topic of growth and pain and suffering. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not a doctor, so if something I said here is incorrect, don't flame me up too much on it. For the love of God, please. I'm a dental prosthetist, I make plastic teeth for a living, but I can only talk from my experience, and this is the way that I've always thought about things, and this is the way that I've always approached the idea and the feeling that when you start a new skill, a new hobby, or developing something in your life, the first 15% is pretty fun. The next 80% is pretty painful and pretty horrible and pretty arduous. And then the last little bit, when you're just starting to get good at it, you're starting to figure it out, you're starting to get over that Dunning-Kruger effect, you're starting to get over that bell curve, that learning curve is starting to level out, and you start to actually do it and start to enjoy it again, is the most enjoyable part. And then obviously mastery at the end. But the topic of growth, pain, and suffering, I've always known that the way that humans' brains work and the way that our brain learns something is through developing a pathway connecting two parts of the brain together through this neural system. And that neural pathway can only grow a certain amount every day. There's a limit to how much it can grow. There's a limit to how fast it can grow. And things like having good sleep, having good nutrition, having good habits, taking breaks, all of that actually helps your brain grow faster. Without doing those things, you'll find that it'll be, you can sink a lot of hours into something and find less progress than the person who's actually working smarter rather than working harder. And the way that I've always explained this to someone is the topic of, for example, learning how to play the piano. And if you are learning the piano and you spend 100 hours a week on it and you're just sinking in the hours, it's perhaps not as effective as the person who is working in a more optimal way. And the way to optimize it is by, again, taking breaks, make sure there's good nutrition involved, make sure there is good sleep involved, because the brain grows with rest, as does the body. Doing the hard work is part of it, but it's part of initiating that growth. It's what initiates that growth response. But doing the work and putting in overtime doesn't necessarily translate to more work, more growth. When you, don't get me wrong, if you dedicate 100% of your energy, 100% of your effort, and 100% of your time into a specific task, skill, duty, whatever it is, you will learn faster than someone who is doing less. But it is important to remember that there is a limit to how much your brain can grow in a day. And it's just the same with things like working out. It's the same with anything. It's the same with a tree, for example. There's a limit, and you give that thing extra nutrition, extra water, you give it everything it needs, and it will grow as much as it possibly can within that day. But remember, there is a limit, and part of that is the painful part, and part of that is the time-consuming part, and part of that is also the idea of consistency and doing a little bit every day. And I often tell people that it's not about how much you did today, it's about how many days you do it. That's it from me. Thank you very much for your time. Have an awesome day, an awesome night whenever this video reaches you, wherever you are in the world. Goodbye, everybody.